Hello everyone, LJ Young, the founder of Six Sense Channel, and I want to welcome you to my channel. Thank you very much for being here. And just to start off, the basis of my channel is my experience being in a 6-year relationship with a malignant covert narcissist. And the malignant part means that she was very violent, very physically violent, physically, mentally, emotionally, all abusive, just completely liar, pathological liar, serial cheater, all that, everything and above. And the covert part is that she was one way behind closed doors and another way in the public. Like she was just nice person, nice to everybody, just showing the world that she means love. And then behind the scenes, she just was the complete opposite, physically violent to me, in front of her children. She just didn't even care about anything. Now, when I met this woman, I had no idea narcissistic people existed. I didn't know people like that existed. I had no clue. When I was with her, I was trauma bonded, and I didn't know what trauma bond means. These are words I'm using after the fact, but I was trauma bonded. And trauma bond, the easier way to explain trauma bond to those that don't understand, you start to accept things that are not right. If they cheated on you, you stay with them. If they hit you, you stay with them. If they do you just bad or in public or embarrass you, and you still stay with them, you're trauma bonded, because those are things that you would normally in your right mind would not accept, right? So that's what I was. Now, I remember it being so bad that I had to ask God to help me get out of it. Now, people really don't. Now, if you've never been in a narcissistic relationship, in the narcissistic fog, you don't know what I'm talking about. But I had to ask God because I didn't know what was happening. I literally did not. Remember, I don't know about narcissism, narcissistic people. I just knew something was just not happening, and I didn't know why. Why was this up and down? Why was she always causing these fights to happen? Every time it would go smooth, she would mess it up, but then blame it on me or something else, and I just couldn't understand. So I had to ask God, and he came through, and this is how he did it, because I want you guys to understand how it actually happened, because she don't even know how it actually happened, really. To her, it was no contact, right? It was like that, but put it this way. Okay, so towards the end of this 6-year relationship, I had to go take care of my mom for a month, because she came out of the hospital and she had surgery, and I needed to go back up home from South Carolina to Washington State to help take care of my mom with my sister. So in my mind, when I had this plan, in my mind and hers, I was coming back. I was just going to Washington State, staying for a month, and then I was coming back. That's how bad it was. I was going to leave and still come back to the hell, but I was trauma bonded. Okay, so the day of that I was flying away to go see my mom, to go take care of my mom, we had a pretty good day. We drove. The airport was about 80 miles from us. We drove up early so we could do a couple things and shop and do all this other stuff. But it's so crazy when I think about that moment now, as I'm on the other side of it, I could tell I was at the discard stage, because I could tell by the way she was acting. It was almost like an energy that she couldn't wait till I left. That's the energy I felt. I remember feeling like that, but I was so trauma bonded. I was trying to ignore it, pretend like it wasn't happening. Anyway, but that day we had a nice lunch and gave her a kiss goodbye, because in my mind, I was coming back. But then when I landed, because I remember texting her when I got on the plane, I was like, "Hey, the plane took off fine. I'm good to go." Well, you know how you just text your loved ones. I didn't get a text back for an hour and a half, said, "Okay, stay safe." I was like, "Oh, okay." But anyway, I was like, but I was kind of ignoring it because I was trauma bonded. Okay. Those are just red flags that you just ignore when you're in the narcissistic fog, right? But anyway, so I remember about I land and I call her and we talk about whatever, something nonsense, right? And I remember getting on Facebook and I found that she had joined some new Facebook group disguised, a dating site disguised as friendly meetings and stuff like that. And I saw her put a post. She made it seem like she always did, like she was single and the sexiest pictures up there and all this other stuff. And I called her and I said, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Oh my God, you're tripping. They always try to reflect. They always try to do that. That's so crazy. It's just funny to me now that I'm out. You'll laugh once you're on the other side. But anyway, like it was my fault. Oh, you're tripping. I'll delete it and all this other stuff. And I made up my mind right there. I said, this was before I knew what no contact was, right? I knew in my mind right there. I said, you know what? I got to go no contact because she's just not listening. She keeps doing these things and it's just nonstop because now I understand narcissists always need supplies from many different sources all the time, right? So I went no contact. And even during that time, for the first 2 weeks, I could tell she really didn't take it serious because she thought, well, okay, after 2 weeks, he's going to call me and say, all right, I want to talk like I normally would. That's what I normally would do. So I could tell it wasn't really bothering at the time because you could feel different energies. But after about a couple weeks, this is what happened. This is what actually happened. Okay. So I'm up at my sister's house and I meditate a lot. So I go outside, I sit next to a tree there's this tree that sits in the corner of her backyard. And I'm sitting in a chair in the tree, next to the tree, right? And I'm sitting there meditating, and God came to me and said, you know what? I didn't bring you here to send you back. And this is the crazy thing what happened. I believe this is what's called the dark night of the soul. So as I'm sitting in the chair and God says that to me, he says, you're not, I didn't bring you here to send you back. I started crying uncontrollably. I started crying like I'm sitting in the chair. Remember, I'm still sitting in the chair. And I started crying so hard, I started bending over in the chair. That's how hard I was crying. I didn't care if anybody heard me, if somebody on the other side of the fence heard me crying. At this point, I really didn't even care, but I was crying horribly, like I've never cried before in my life. And then as I'm bending over, crying, it was like I stepped out of myself and I was standing over myself, looking at myself, bending over in the chair, crying. And it's like God was next to me saying, why are you crying? Why? It was like we were looking at me and it's saying, why are you crying? And I was like, yeah, why am I crying? Why am I crying about leaving, not going back to an abuser? That didn't even make any sense. And I'm looking at him. I'm looking at myself. Yeah, why am I crying? That makes no sense. Exactly why. So at that point, I wrote her an email and I said, hey, I'm not coming back. She wasn't expecting that. Neither was I until God told me. She didn't believe me for a month until I went completely no contact. In order to leave a narcissist, you have to go absolutely no contact. And mean it. When I say no contact, I mean you're not going back ever. That's what no contact does. So there's no reason for any type of contact because you're never going back, period. I saw a side of her that I had never seen before in 6 years. No, listen, no disrespect at all during this process. She was careful. She was careful with her words. Blew me away. I was like, what? All because of what? I respected myself. I said no more. Now, many of you get discarded by narcissists. I also understood what it meant to discard the narcissist. I understand the power in that now. I totally get it. Because when I look back now, I was very close to being discarded. That's clear. That was crystal clear. I was very close. But I beat her to the punch. Why? Because I asked God to help me. And he did. That wasn't, listen, me discarding her wasn't part of my plan originally. It wasn't. I was caught up in the narcissistic fog. I didn't plan that at all. But once I did, I made up my mind with no contact. You know what else I did? I was ready to leave everything. Because remember, I didn't know. I thought I was coming back, so everything is there. I made up my mind that I don't care. I'll leave everything to save my own life. That's what I did. Now that I'm on the other side, it's a superpower. The only way to be here, you have to go through that. And you got to make it. You got to come out on the other side. Because trust me, the narcissist is not going to try to let you go easily. They're not. You got to make sure they know there's no coming back. There's absolutely not. Now, when I sit back and I think about, like when I was with her, she used to have all these male friends, these male exes, some other person. I will never be in that equation, ever. She knows that for a fact. Believe that. That was my cocoon. I want you guys to understand something. When you get on the other side and you clear yourself away, you get out of the narcissistic fog, something that millions of people don't get out of. I want you guys to understand that. Millions don't get out. This is what this channel is for. This is for the people that have made up their mind. They're not going back ever. And then they realize the superpower in it, realizing narcissists don't know that they're narcissists. I'm going to keep reiterating that. They don't. And I want you to listen to me closely when I say that. Here's the facts. In order for one to know they are a narcissist, that takes self-awareness, self-reflection, self-accountability, which narcissists do not possess. Now, I want you to listen to this closely, okay, so you understand this. Narcissists don't know they're not supposed to cheat on the people they love. You know why they don't, and you know how they don't know? How you know they don't know? Because they do it. Do you understand? Now, I know people say, oh, narcissists they don't love anybody. I'm just talking about their version of love. That's all I'm saying. I'm talking about the version of love that they have in their heads. That's the version of love that they have in their minds. They don't know the love that because when you understand the love that I'm talking about, I don't cheat on the people that I love. You know how I know that? Because I didn't do that to her. I didn't cheat on her. When you love somebody, you enhance their life. That's what I came in their life. I did all that. Didn't matter because their version of love is very different than your version of love. They think it's okay to cheat on the people they love. They think it's okay to lie to the people they love. They don't know that you're not supposed to do that because they do it. I want you guys to listen to me closely. I don't need anybody to tell me that I'm not supposed to cheat on the person I love. I don't need anybody to tell me that I'm not supposed to lie to the person I love pathologically. They don't know that because they do it. And once you realize that you do have the superpower, because that's exactly what it is, the superpower to see narcissists easily without them knowing that you can see them because they don't know that they're narcissists, you realize that there are millions of them. You will then have to learn how to pay attention to them and what they do and place them in your life accordingly. Okay, because they outnumber people that are not narcissists. It seems like. I'm not going to say that. I don't know. Let me not say that. I don't know if that's true or not. It just seems like it. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe because it just seems like it. But and I'm still new to it. Don't get me wrong. I'm still new, but I pay attention to. I listen to people, how people talk. I listen about their family life. I listen to see how their relationship with their family, their siblings, their parents. Listen for any violence, and these are things I can no longer help. It's no different than on my other channel, Savings Minus Debt. We can hear debt slaves when they start talking about money. But they don't know that they're saying it. When you hear them say, "Oh, I got equity in my mortgaged house," they don't know what they're saying is mathematically not true. You can't have equity in a mortgaged house. That is 100% mathematically impossible. But listen, if they knew that what they were saying is 100% mathematically impossible, they wouldn't say it. No different than when narcissists, if they knew they were not supposed to cheat on the people they love, they wouldn't do it. You see how it just follows along? That's how it is, because it's a psychological thing. Starting this channel kind of reminds me of when I was starting the Savings Minus Debt channel. It's slowly forming and shaping itself, but I do know the basis of it. It is a channel for people surviving narcissistic abuse, whether they were discarded or they escaped, and they are looking to go absolutely no contact. They don't want to know what the narcissist is doing in any form or fashion. Don't care, as long as it's not doing anything with them. That's all they care. They don't care what's going on in their life. This is the channel for you. Okay. I'm gonna be here to let you guys see what will be waiting for you on the other side of getting through the pain. Like, first you got to get out of the trauma bond. First you got to know you're in it. Once you know you're in it, then you got to get out of it. And then when you get out of it, you have to withdraw from it, literally, because your body has created a chemical addiction with your narcissist. You are chemically and physically, psychologically attached. So once you break away, you have to withdraw from that person. That's how serious it is. That's why many never make it out. Many never escape. I only escaped because of God. God helped me escape, because I didn't know what I was in. But now I do, and I'll never forget. That was my cocoon. That was my cocoon. Without that experience, this channel would have never been born.